the Photo Diaries podcast. I'm your host, Grace Costa, a commercial photographer of over 2 decades, a photo-based artist and a photography mentor. This podcast opens up a secret diary about the world of the photography industry. We'll bring you inspiring interviews with industry professionals, as well as stories and tips to help you propel through your photography journey, whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro. Thanks for joining me today. Now let's open the latest diary. Hi friends, welcome back to the podcast. So today we're going to talk with Jess Panozzo from Feel Good Creative all the way up in Brisbane, Australia, and we're going to talk about websites. So I hope this episode is really valuable to you. She's going to share some insights and tips that can help all of us photographers, reevaluate our website and optimize it for the benefit of our customers. So let's get into it. Hi, Jess. Thanks for joining me today. You are my first guest. Do you know that?
I do. No pressure, hey? Because it's only up from here, Grace.
Yeah. Come on. I know you're great. That's why I asked you. And I know you have so much valuable knowledge about websites. So tell my audience who you are and what you do exactly in regards to website design.
Okay, so I work with creatives and impact-driven brands. They're mostly women, people who are like-minded, small businesses. I used to be an accountant, so I have a lot of just general business knowledge. And I guess I bring that into my web design as well, because it's one thing to have a pretty website, but I think we all need to be really focused that at the end of the day, it's there for a purpose, and that's to connect with our audience, build our brand, build our business. So yeah, there's a lot of function behind a website, and I think that's really important. So yeah, that's what I do.
Excellent. Well, we are so excited to talk about it, because the longer you've been in business as a photographer, the more valuable your website becomes, right? Because you need to attract new customers, you need to keep your current customers, and you need a good place for your images to be
showcased, right? It's like your website should be a good, solid place that you can direct people to. So even I imagine with photographers, referrals are really a key place for business, but I would be shocked if someone made a referral and that person still didn't go and actually look at your website to suss you out, to see if they like your vibe, if your style of photography is what they're after.
So when it comes to the first landing page in a website, what do you think are 3 main aspects that first homepage needs to have to capture a new client?
First, I would definitely say it has to have your face as the photographer. And even if you're quite a formal photographer, I would still think it would have a warm, friendly, inviting photo of you, because unless you're not a portrait photographer, then I think people still want to enjoy who they're working with, right, and dealing with. And a friendly, warm face is always going to do that. I think you need to be very clear about who you serve, what type of style it is. I know that comes across in the actual images themselves, but I think it doesn't hurt to actually say it in text, especially if you're location-based. I think get that right up the top of the page, because if you're in Canberra and I'm in Brisbane, then it's completely irrelevant to me. And also just for people who use screen readers, for accessibility issues, then they can't actually see your photos. So there will be people on your website who rely on the text. So yeah, don't leave everything to the images themselves. But I think then also the ways that they can work with you. So if you have multiple services or offerings, like I know, Grace, you have networking events, things like that, you definitely want to focus on your key services and put those very clearly separated with images that just relate to those services, and then of course social proof, so as many testimonials as you can.
So the testimonial should be on the homepage, you think?
Absolutely. I want them everywhere. Oh, yeah.
And what do you feel about logos on the homepage that like a lot of photographers use, especially commercial photographers, putting up logos for the big companies and agencies that they've been working with so that it shows a little bit of credibility? Do you think that should be on the homepage?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. That's just another form of social proof. And even if you've got testimonials, I would still put logos because it instantly separates you from someone else. It's exactly what you say. It's instant credibility. If these companies have worked with you, or again, if you've been featured somewhere in a magazine or spoken somewhere that's high profile, definitely, pop it in.
Okay. And a lot of photographers have multiple genres under their business. So for instance, there might be, say, Jess, the photographer, does wedding photography, she does headshots, and she does families. Should those three things be on the same website? And if so, if they're going to be on the same website, how should she direct people to each of those three services on her homepage?
To keep things simple, and if I'm assuming for the purpose of this that we're not like a big studio, that it's a one-person photographer, then yes, I would say keep it all on the one website. I would have a heading that says our services or how we can work together, and then have those three different services. What was it? Portrait, photography, wedding, family, whatever.
Headshots,
and then each of those go off to a separate service page. So then you can spend a whole service page talking about that one particular type of photography that you offer.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because then your gallery can be specific to that service page.
Yes, that's right.
It's not mixed in. And then also your pricing and packaging can be on each of those service pages.
Yeah, and also your testimonials, again, like I put them on that service page, but keep them relevant. So they're clients that have experienced that service, because their feedback will be specific to the outcome that they received or how you made them feel. So you don't want someone talking about, how great you were with their kids if it's,
the headshot page.
Exactly. It just keeps it all relevant, and it allows you in your copy to be able to speak directly to that particular customer.
So when we're talking about copy, I know you're not a copywriter, but if we're talking about the homepage again, and we're talking about the description of us as the photographer, like the about area.
Yeah, a little bio section. Oh, yeah.
A little bit of a bio, yeah.
That's another thing on the homepage. Always have a bio, Grace.
Have a bio on the homepage.
Yeah.
If we've got the bio on the homepage, yet we service three different audiences, should that bio talk specifically to each of those three, or can it just be a global bio saying I service portraiture in general? Or you just mention everything in the bio?
I don't think the bio even needs to say what you do. Like you should have already clarified, I think, above the bio what it is that you do in terms of the services that you offer. I think that it needs to kind of be above the fold, that when you first land on the page, like that's immediately what you need to see, the services that you offer. And then in the bio, it's just purely about you, and it's just saying a very, very general history of history sounds like it's a lot. I'm talking like two to three sentences about you, and then it's letting them off into an about page. But I don't think the bio should be, it doesn't need to be why you're an amazing wedding photographer or anything like that. It's purely about you.
Okay, a summary about you, but not like when you say about you, are you talking about what you as a photographer love doing on weekends, or are you talking about how you can serve your clients, or is that waiting for the about page?
You're very sneakily saying something about you that also relates to your clients. So no, not what you like to do on weekends, but I guess a little bit about your experience and why that makes you great to work with.
Love that.
Or unique to work with. So your bio shouldn't sound like somebody else's.
Yeah. Yours has to be unique. Your experience is unique. What makes you great is unique.
And I think it takes a while to for someone to identify exactly why everything that they've experienced in their life actually makes what they bring to their business unique. But once you go down that path of really thinking about it, and it takes time, you see why what you bring as a photographer is different to somebody else. In the same way that, like, I previously was an accountant, and there's not many people, not every competitor is going to be able to say that, but you've got to find the link of, well, why is that relevant now to what I do, and how does that benefit my client?
I love that.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that, because I was a corporate photographer for a massive department, a government department. And that makes my business unique, because I've got experience that other photographers will never have.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just being in that corporate background, I imagine it's like separate from just the photo taking. I imagine the way in which you run your business is very different. You automatically have a very professional approach, which, we take for granted, but it actually isn't. It isn't standard. And yeah,
that's so true, actually, because when I subcontracted a couple of girls to work for me during maternity leave, my work attire was very formal. Like, I would, even though you have to be quite flexible and nimble and wear comfortable clothes, my clothes were still very formal and business-like, because my training at Defence taught me that you dress the way the audience will be dressing. So if everyone's in suits and ties, you should be in pants and a blazer, a jacket, a tie if you're a bloke, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah, I sort of take that formal approach that other photographers, will come in trainers and comfortable jeans. And
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just
different. Personal style. Yeah, that's right. And that becomes my style, because that's my training, and that's how I prefer to present
your background
myself.
Yeah.
And I guess that comes into branding, right? So that's my brand, how I present myself, and another photographer's brand will present themselves in a jumpsuit, really fun and colorful, comfy trainer shoes or Nike shoes, and that makes them come across more fun and approachable and engaging, and that services their clients.
And that's unique. Like, that will speak to a certain audience, and I think that's fine. We should never be afraid of or feel like we're limiting ourselves. Like, there's enough work for everyone, and we'll all be happy when we actually just work with people that we're really suited to work with. So you'll attract the right kind of people if you're just yourself.
Yeah, that's right. I think starting from your website being yourself, and the way you write your copy and the language you use and the terminology, make it, fully sound like yourself, and use, slang. If you use slang in normal everyday interactions, put that on your website if you choose to the way you dress. That can also be part of the whole package.
Yeah, that consistency is so important in business.
And even right through to the way you address people in emails.
Yeah, it's all just trust building, because if there's a step along the way which feels off to somebody, then you lose that trust. They're like, well, it will feel
disconnected.
Yeah, just not authentic. So if you're just yourself and you're not putting anything on, and it's just actually so much easier.
That's so true. So if we're talking about, we've talked about the homepage, let's talk about now calls to action. So if we're talking about the contact page, what sort of things do we need to consider when making it easy for our client to work with us?
Well, I think these days, websites are not new. People, they know how to navigate websites. Our children know how to, are better at social media than us. So I think gone are the days of make sure you've got 20 different ways for the client to contact you, and they'll choose their preferred method. I personally actually think that's really outdated. I would think more about, how do you want the client to contact you? Because like I personally have my contact form, which comes from Dubsado, which is a lead. I know a lot of your audience probably are familiar with Dubsado, because I want them to fill that out, all the information to be captured for me in my system, and it makes everything flow better. So if I was to list my phone number, that would just really annoy me.
Because you don't want to talk to people on the phone.
Well, you're having to gather all that information, and you're trying to decide whether a lead is a good lead, whether it's worth your time. You know, a lot of us are one person in business, and all this time costs money. It's time you're not doing something else for your business. So yeah, I mean, I don't put my phone number. One, like when I'm working, I don't want to be distracted with phone calls. I have to be really focused. So I am precious with my time. And the other thing is, like, I do put my email down, because everybody knows how to use an email, right? So again, though, if they reach out to me, I'm actually dropping them a link saying, yeah, sure, would you like to jump on a call? Even though I've got another call saying book a call, a lot of people don't click that. They actually email me and say, yes, I would like to chat. And so I'm sending them back essentially the same link, like to the same form when they book their call. So no matter which way they come to me, they are filling out that form. But yeah, gone are the days. I don't think you need to put every method possible. I would work out what suits you, where you want to have, how you want to have people contact you, and just give them less options.
I love the fact that you mentioned your form that they fill out is linked to Dubsado and captures all the lead information into Dubsado and creates a new client profile. Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, I need to set that up.
Yeah. So even, I mean, ideally what I want them to do is just fill out, like, so on my homepage, I'll have, do you already know you want to book a call? Great. And there's a button, book a call. And if not, there's the form. And the form actually has a question saying, do you want a discovery call with me? And half the time they click yes. And in my head, I'm like, why didn't you just click the button? So again, I'm just setting them back to the exact same thing. It's just how quickly they get there.
Yeah. That's funny.
So you want to like make your systems. Yeah. I think your website, when it works well with your systems to cut down the amount of time that you spend in admin, then you're actually making money, you know, because you're saving yourself time in admin. You could be using that for other less tedious things.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to other aspects of the website. And one aspect I'm really concerned about, and I think other photographers would love to hear your opinion on different ways they can create a photo gallery, but not only create it for your desktop optimized, but optimize it for your mobile. And in the past, my website gallery has been like a big grid. And then when it goes on to mobile and someone visits my gallery on mobile, yet they have to scroll through all the images one by one. It's not replicated as a grid on mobile. So What are some options for photographers who are designing their website themselves, but they need their mobile version to be slick and user-friendly?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, and this could be a bit controversial, I'm not a fan of just having one big gallery where you dump all your work. I would prefer to see, say on your, for example, your service page, which is broken up into different sections, to have a really nice balance of text with, you know, a little mini gallery next to it. And again, big size, like I think big size photos are always important, but it's really scattering the images throughout your website, not necessarily having a big one catch-all gallery. I think if I were a photographer, I would choose like my favorite jobs that I've worked on and show those as mini portfolios. So instead of being dumped into one big photo gallery as such, you're grouping it by that type of job so that a client can see. So Grace, you do branding shoots. So you could have like your top 6 jobs, and then it's almost like a blog where you've got one blog or portfolio that's related to a particular client, someone can click on that and just see the photos related to that job. So then as a customer or as a client, when I'm looking at that, I can see, oh, okay, these are all the looks that I'm going to get. And this is why I need the bigger package, because this is what I'm going to get. Whereas if you have just like 3 photos from 25 different shoots, it doesn't really give you the whole idea of what, as a client, what you're actually buying or what the possibilities are of what you could be getting.
Yeah, and what the photographer is going to cover for you, what all the different poses you're going to get, whether it's wedding or personal branding. I think, yes, doing the individual galleries per client will showcase more of the proof sheet of what that client is receiving. I love that.
And only showing, like, because you can tell straight away if someone's good or not. And I think if you're only showing a limited number of photos from each job, you're thinking, well, yeah, it's pretty easy to get some good shots from a 2-hour shoot. But it's like, oh, wow, look at all the great photos that they got from this one shoot, then you just have more faith in them. And also it's helping you as a photographer really identify your style and sell that one style, and you attract more of the work that you want by displaying the work that really lights you up and you're proud of.
Yeah, you've convinced me, Jess. I'm going to change my gallery.
Oh, finally. Yeah.
I love that idea. And actually, I have seen it many, many times, especially wedding photographers do each couple in a separate gallery.
Yes, that's what I mean. And it tells more of a story.
It's beautiful, absolutely, and it works so well. And I don't know why I didn't think of that in the first place. I think I've had my website done multiple times and we haven't really come up with that solution until now. So I'm stealing that.
You're welcome again, Grace. You're welcome.
Thanks, Jess.
And hey, just jumping back, you were talking specifically about mobile. So I think, a lot of the old websites were, very scroll heavy, and, especially the larger your gallery, and that can be really exhausting for someone to look at. I think now you can get galleries that swipe sideways on mobile, and that's just less effort for people because they can go quickly, they can go slow, and once they've had enough, then they can start moving down the page, and the whole experience for them is nicer. They've got more control over it.
That's a really good tip. Yep. I think that's something people could implement quite easily. Okay. Now, speaking on images, what about the best way to build SEO, search engine optimization, for your images when we're uploading them ourselves? Because a lot of photographers will just regularly add new images to their website from the latest job or the latest portfolio of work. So when we're doing that, what things do we need to consider as far as naming convention, as far as SEO, adding keywords, so that every image is done properly and helps us get rankings?
Okay, so first you want to make the image as small as you can, not in like pixel size, in actual file size, while maintaining great quality. So just have that balance. Yeah, definitely say under 500 kilobytes, but try and get it as small as you can under that. Then with your naming convention, so let's just say you were creating a portfolio for a job that you've just done, then I would name it. So think about your keywords. If you're an on-location photographer, I would be working the location into, say Canberra.
So let's say Canberra, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think work that in because, again, it's highly relevant. So I think having a location name, but also just for you to manage your files yourself, just to be useful, have the client name in there, and then think of the keywords that are relevant. So if it's branding photography Canberra or lifestyle photography, whatever it is, I'd put that in there. I don't get too caught up any more than that with a file name. But then when you go to, so you can have an image title, And again, yeah, I'll put keywords in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then
does it have to make sense on the title? Does it have to make a full sentence, or can it just be the title be Canberra branding photographer?
It doesn't have to be a human read sentence. No, I guess just don't have it sounding really haphazard. It'll just be messy because it can still be read. And with, a lot of websites, if you hover, then for accessibility, it might just hover the name of that you've labeled it. So if it sounds really scatty, then, people know what you're doing and it just comes off a bit icky.
But then what happens if all 10 pictures in that portfolio are Canberra branding photographer? They all got the same title. Can they have that?
Oh, well, they can, but again, it just doesn't really mean anything for someone looking at it and hovering it. So again, like I would put, if you were putting a portfolio, then there's no reason not to put that business's name or that client's name and say branding photographer for such and such nutritionist or something like that. You can still get keywords in there while having a little bit more useful information.
Oh, right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So the title can be quite long then, because you need to put in other useful information.
Yeah, I mean, I do that because I think it just would look, again, exactly what you're saying. Like if those words were to hover up, branding photographer, and that's all it was on your site, it just would feel a bit icky. Yeah. Okay. I would put a bit more than that. Okay. But don't overthink it.
Okay. So we're going to rename our images. We're going to add a title to our images, to all our images.
Yes.
And what's the third thing?
The third thing is the description. And this is the one that I think this is where you put your effort in, to be honest. So this is what screen readers will read. It's what Google reads to know what that image is about and to determine whether that page has relevance for somebody. So you need to think of it not only from a Google SEO point of view, but also somebody who's using a screen reader. How would that description sound to them? So this is where I think you were getting at before, where it needs to be legible and make sense as a human if this description was being read to you.
Okay, so is it like closed captions on TV where it says, little boy is running down the street holding his mother's hand?
Yes. That blended with photography shoot Canberra. Branding shoot Canberra. So try and meld the two together. So for example, you're taking this photo for a client that they may be using on their business website. So the description that they will write on their website for that photo will be different to yours, even though the photo is of the same subject or place. Your keywords will be different. So I guess think about why am I using this image, and try and make it relevant to your business while still describing the photo. That's the secret sauce to making SEO and accessibility friendly design.
Okay, so let's turn this into an example.
No.
please.
Yeah.
Just because it will help us. So if I've done a personal branding shot of you at your laptop in Canberra, does my description say Jess Panozzo from Feel Good Creative seated at her laptop in Canberra? Personal branding photo.
I would just put personal branding shoot of Feel Good Creative in Canberra. Yeah.
Okay.
And then say Jess is sitting at her desk with a vase and working on her laptop, something like that, or a close up of Jess, whatever it is that you get where I'm going. You're physically describing the photo, but you've snuck in the stuff about you. Yeah. So for you, I wouldn't get too caught up on describing my business or my name and all of that. It's really about
describing the image.
Grace, and describing what's in it. Yeah.
Okay, got you. Because when I used to do metadata for Defence Image Library, we basically had to describe the who, what, where, and when. Who was in the photo?
Oh, you'd be really good at this then.
No, that's why I hated doing that stuff, and it was not my zone.
No,
was not my zone of genius. And, you know, you can only write so many things like, you know, Chief of Defence Force is standing with a member of the public at the Governor General's house.
You know how to do this.
So dry.
But see, you can see why, if you were described with that level of detail, that's showing me that you do government photography, you do government corporate photography, right? But yeah, you've got it.
Okay, I know how to do it. So if we were lazy, if we were a lazy photographer who hates admin, out of the file name, the title, and the description, if we were to only focus on one of those things that was going to get us some SEO traction on Google, which one of those three things should we invest our precious time in?
Description. There you go. Description.
Okay.
Locked in, Eddie.
Thanks. Thanks. And that's the most difficult one. But we can manage. Photographers together, we can all do a description on all our images.
Yeah. And I said that because it hits SEO and accessibility, and that's
win.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. We love that. All right. I think just you describing to us how to optimize our images in the way you just did, that's really going to help so many photographers. That's gold information. Nobody's talking about that stuff between other photographers. So I feel like that valuable stuff that you just shared with us.
On par with that, which is probably easier, is, you know, what I said about image size. That's really important. So that doesn't give any information, say, to Google about what the photo's about, but that's really important for SEO because Google wants fast loading websites. And so as a photographer, you're going to have more images than most people on their website. So you need to be aware of what you're loading as far as how big those files are. So I would almost say that is more important.
We can batch size our images. So tell us exactly how you would like a photographer to deliver images to you for their website. What sizing exactly? Like what DPI, what dimensions?
Well, for dimensions, I would say check with the web designer because different platforms prefer different sizes. If that wasn't an option and you were just like, no, just shut up and give me a size, I would say 2000 pixels.
Longest edge?
Yeah, the longest edge. 1500 being the shortest edge that you'll ever have. Yeah, I find there's few photographers where I've been provided, client photography from where like they'll say, oh, here's the low res. And I'm still able to get those images reduced further in size. So I think that's a real benefit, something you can really do to help your clients out. And even, as a differentiation, when you're looking for extra kind of value adds to your packages, even if you say, hey, how would you is there a way that your designer would like your images named? Because I'm sure you can batch name images.
Yes.
And even if you just named it with their business name, like that's...
I do that. Yeah. I name it with their business name and my business name in the file name. Yep, that I deliver. Or my website, actually.
Yeah, okay.
GraceCosta.com. Is that any good, or should I be using
not for the client.
No, but for Google.
Oh, now, are you talking about for your own images or for ones that you're giving to your client?
Yeah, so I'll put feelgoodcreative _ GraceCosta.com, number one.
Yeah. So if I was your web designer, I wouldn't want the photographer's URL in the file name because that's not good for my client. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
But isn't that good for me?
Well, that's what I mean. That's good, possibly good for you. But yeah, I would be renaming those images and going, why has she put her website in here?
The reason I put my name on the file name is so that because when you're dealing with corporate clients, you don't know who's going to deal with that file over the years to come. And they're going to be like, oh, who was the photographer that took this? I need the high res, or I need another version, or I need this or that. It's in the file name so that they can go, oh, well, it's Grace Costa photographer. We can just contact her.
Well, that's another, that's just a whole different reason But if we're talking for optimize, giving clients things that they already optimized for their website, then that doesn't hit that. I mean, that serves another purpose. But I would have thought that would be in the metadata, the actual image metadata anyway.
It is, but if it's a young person who's just started at a job and doesn't know how to access the metadata, at least it's in the file name. And also, do you want us to use 72 DPI and sRGB color space?
I would just play around and see what, like ideally, the 72, but I don't even know how relevant that is anymore. Just yourself play around with what settings are going to give you a great balance where you're not losing image quality, but it's keeping the file size low. I don't know how much DPI is really used anymore. As far as being, I remember that used to be like the digital kind of standard as for images, but I really don't see that spoken of anymore.
Well, that's fair enough. As far as the number of pages on a website, is there too many pages you can have? Because I remember hearing 3 or 4 years ago that some designers were saying, you can't have too many tabs up the top. We want to condense it.
Yes, that's different from how many pages are on your website. So what's in your navigation up the top is just your key pages, and then you can have as many pages as you want that are either linked to in, from other pages or in your footer or elsewhere. But that's not the same as what's in your navigation. So yes, I would keep your navigation as tight as you can and really think about what do you want to happen with someone who lands on your site. Like if you offer a lot of different things, like I know you do, Grace, you still want to think, no, but what's the main thing? If they could only do one thing when they're on my site, what do I want it to be? And I'm guessing for most of your audience, it is to either select a package and pay for it or book a call to talk about a photography session and to then lead into the sell. So I wouldn't be cluttering it up with
blog post, podcast,
a lot of other supplementary things in that main navigation.
Okay, that's a good tip. Okay, so we've covered our homepage, we've covered SEO, we've covered how to handle your images. Is there anything else you think photographers need to know about optimizing their website and helping them get more clients through their website?
Rather than like getting caught up in a technical setting, I think they need to think deeply about what makes them different, what separates them, and it will come down to them as people, again, their experience, what they like to work with. And so it's really just leaning into that when they're thinking about their branding, their copy, having their own photos. So this all works together to really sell the you factor and connecting with their audience, because photos are a really hard thing for a lot of people to make the leap to have a photo session with a stranger. And I think the more that you can connect with your audience, then that's breaking down that barrier and making it a lot easier for them to want to choose to work with you over somebody else. So if you can do that, I think you're well on your way to converting. And that's, it's just another way. And again, like that, this is all good for SEO. So we talk about SEO, but actually having a site that someone is engaged with and spends time on, that's just triggering those Google bells going, yes, this is a relevant site, it's useful, and it bumps it up in the relevance factor on Google searches. So it's all related.
Well, then how do we ensure our new clients spend more time on our website? Because you might have your services description, you might have your gallery, you'll have your bio, your about page, but what is something else that we haven't thought of that helps a new customer stay on our page and be engaged with it?
It's not about like adding more stuff. It's about the quality of what you're putting into all of those things. So you might be thinking, I've done that. I've got that. I've got a photo of myself. Yes, I've written a bio, but is it really different from somebody else's? How is it written? Is it, if it's interesting to read, that's what's going to draw people into your world, make them click around. Like, just because it's there, they're not going to read it and look at it. It's got to be, one sentence needs to lead to the next. Like, they have to want to continue on your site because they're interested. So it's not just about having the stuff, it's about making it high quality.
High quality and desirable. So if we were to think about the whole experience, we want to bring them on the journey of the desire of working with us. So that can come in all those ways you talked about, and the potential client feels more connected, but also a desire to go on the journey with you and become a client of yours.
Yeah, and they're just pulled into your world. And I think that's where, if you have a really good breakup of, continually text and images through a page, it's not just images, because images alone just won't sell your work. I believe, it's such a personal experience having working with a photographer. So I think the text is relevant. People want to know how what will this actually look like? It's like there's a lot of steps before you get to that final image. So what is it like? Give me the information. What will it look like?
And so when you talk about that information, should we be describing the steps in the photo process for your clients? So if you're a wedding photographer, the step-by-step, what the journey is going to look like.
Absolutely.
If you're a branding photographer, if you hire me, step 1 is going to look like this. Step 2 and step 3, you receive a gallery where you get to choose your files. So planning that out and describing it to
I think, though, again, when you're writing it, don't make it sound like an instruction manual. It's a story, it's fun, we're doing this together. You're pulling someone on a journey. It's not just a transactional, stale thing. Photos are very personal. So
yeah, that's a great tip. So could maybe some photographers add a video introducing themselves on their website? Would that be?
Yeah, it cuts through all of that very quickly. I think once you can see someone's face, hear their voice, again, you're either put off, you think, oh, I hate her voice, or you can relate to some little quirk that they've got, and it's that unique factor that you know yourself. If you enter a room, you can scan it, and why do you decide that you're going to go sit at a particular table or talk to a certain person? You are drawn to people on visual judgments that you make. So my video cuts through all that very, very quickly.
And if you're not having a behind the scenes video, which you can do, and a lot of photographers have got that, you could have just a talking face to camera piece that introduces yourself. And you could talk about your process in just a 30-second clip, or you could just introduce yourself in your bio, as a video bio. That would be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you didn't want it to be so prominent, like for me, I'm a bit scared of video, Grace. I'm building myself up, because I'm actually thinking, I need to put one on my website, a video. But even just having a little video chat bot down the bottom, so it's a little bubble, and I personally don't believe that you need to have a big spiel. I think someone seeing your face, hearing your voice, just seeing those natural emotions, I think they're either gonna connect or not connect, and that's okay.
And I think they're more likely to connect generally because you've made that effort to be on video showing yourself to them.
Yeah, I think so too. You're talking me into it. I know I've got to do it. Thumbs up to video.
Yes, let's do a video.
Just be available to your audience. I think let them in and be part of the journey, and they'll let you be part of theirs. That's what I think.
Well said. So as we wrap up, Jess, when we're thinking about our website, is there anything else that you should mention to us that we need to know about optimizing and making our website more engaging for our clients?
Oh, Grace, I think something we haven't touched on, which I think is really important for photographers, because a lot of you are location-based, is to make sure you have a Google My Business profile. That's really good for SEO, but not just set it up, but maintain it. So, always ask for reviews and update it, whether that's business hours or just actually adding new images, because you can add images to your profile. So I think even if once a month you're adding something new to it, you're telling Google that it's a relevant, updated profile, and that
the business is alive.
Yeah, exactly. And that helps incredibly with location-based businesses, which I think your audience is. So yeah, that's like my very first golden SEO tip. And then apart from that, I would say just lean into what your onlyness factor, what makes you different, and don't be afraid to just be really natural in who you are, because you'll bring people along on your journey and they'll let you be part of their journey. I think that's a really, beautiful work happens when people are on the same wavelength and they really connect with each other.
Yes, because they've found their partner in crime.
When you find someone who gets you, you're more willing to take risks and be a bit bolder, and
you can do business together. You may be client service provider relationship, but it can turn into a friendship. It can be fun. It can be something that continues.
And it all just happens very naturally when you connect with the right people. So good things happen.
How can people follow you?
So I'm on Instagram at feelgoodcreative.au, which is also my web address if they want to check out my work. Work with Squarespace and Shopify, but I think for your photographers, Squarespace is a great option for them to maintain their portfolios and have them looking really schmick.
Thanks for joining us today, Jess. We really appreciate it.
I loved it. Thanks, Grace.
That's it for today's episode. If you found it valuable, I invite you to leave a review so more people can find this podcast, or simply subscribe to be notified when each new episode drops. Until next time, see you later.